Hello out there, everyone. I'm Russ Hudson.
I'm Tom Condon.
And we're here to talk about the IEA conferences, and especially the one coming up this next August, is it? Yeah. In Long Beach, California.
2012.
Yes. So we are both teachers of the Enneagram, and in case you don't know what that is, maybe we should explain a little bit about it before we get into the particulars of the conference.
It's a complex system. It has a lot of detail within it, but it describes on one level something fundamentally simple, which is 9 different principal personality styles, their central worldview, and their self-image and motivations that tend to typically go with their style.
Mm-hmm. And it's not just description, it's a way of learning things about ourselves that will help us grow in our capacity to have good relationships, to be more effective in the work that we're doing in the world, and to have a lot more self-knowledge in the things that tend to trip us up in life, as well as celebrating and recognizing some of the gifts that we have in our personality. Sometimes gifts that we haven't been as aware of as we could be.
Each Enneagram style has kind of typical patterns that go with it, kind of stumbling blocks and difficulties, illusions that people with a particular style are prone to. And then as well, talents, resources, abilities, and a high side to each style that can be realized partially through recognition of your style, and then also the application of a variety of methods that help you grow and change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's also, unlike a lot of typing systems, we're not confined to one of these. In some sense, we have all of the styles within us. So what we're looking at and exploring here, what is our core style? What is our primary way of coping? What do we turn to when the chips are down, if you will? And not only that, but the Enneagram is a very dynamic system. So it looks at the kind of psychological movements and counter moves and the way we dance with these different energies, as opposed to it just being a filing system that we put people into.
Somebody will have a central Enneagram style that is most consistent with their view of the world and their view of themselves and how they kind of arrange reality and go through their day. But then they have, the system describes interconnections with other styles that are kind of ongoing, and those are like sides to your character. You know, things that come out in different contexts or aspects of who you are that are maybe surprising sometimes, and contain not only little traps and pitfalls sometimes, but also, as I said, other natural talents and resources and abilities, some of which you may not even quite realize you have.
Yeah. And because the Enneagram is really about our humanness and being full human beings to the best of our ability, people use it in a variety of contexts. And you'll certainly, if you come to the conference, you'll get to see that. There will be presentations on all sorts of applications and uses of it. People use it in business, for leadership development, for coaching, team building, management, all kinds of things. People use it in psychotherapy. It's certainly helpful for zeroing in on particular issues that we might be up against, as well as we were saying before, of recognizing some resources that we might not have known we had to address those issues. People also use it in the realm of spirituality. As an adjunct to their spiritual life, their faith life, and it has tremendous applicability to that as well. So if you're interested in human beings, it's kind of a deeper examination, and I'd say ultimately a celebration of what it means to be a human being.
The people who come to conferences are a range of ages. Sometimes people come to something like the Enneagram when they're a little older, after they have acquired a lot of life experience and realize that their sort of map of reality, the one they have in here and in here, is not quite matching the world around them. On the other hand, this is a great thing to learn if you're young. It'll help you
Yes.
figure out your parents. It'll give you kind of communication skills and ways to understand how to proceed through career plans or like resolve conflicts with people or just head them off at the pass, avoid them altogether. And also to just kind of know yourself and realize the relativity of points of view so that you take your own behavior less personally and you take other people's behavior less personally.
Yeah. When you're a young person also, it helps you recognize some of the strengths, some of the cards you have to play in creating your life, in creating the kind of life that has meaning and sense to you in terms of not just your career, but how you set up your whole life. People our age are forever saying, boy, I wish I'd learned about it back then. It would have made things a lot easier. I certainly feel that way. The other thing about that is that the Enneagram work really helps us find context in our life in two ways. One is that we get a bigger sense of the meaning of our life. And I don't mean here, it doesn't replace the kind of answers that we might get from our religion or from some of our other philosophical wellsprings. But it does give us a lot of notion about how we can use the talents and personality that we have well. But it also does context by, how do I want to put this? I'm suddenly stuck. It helps us see what we usually don't see about ourselves. That maybe our friends and loved ones, if they felt they could, they'd love us to recognize this. Maybe they have been taught us, giving us a little elbow. But it helps us see some of the things that may have unconsciously been holding us back from living the kind of life that I believe we were meant to live.
In addition to seeing your own blind spots a little better and then having kind of ways and suggestions and methods for working on that, kind of expanding your self-awareness, the Enneagram also kind of points to how people live stories. They live scripts in a way. They talk in popular psychology about people getting caught up in scripts. The Enneagram will show you your script. It'll show you somebody else's script as well, and help you understand how the script is a way that somebody develops early in life for functioning well in order to maybe get through childhood or cope with your parents or cope with difficult early circumstances or even cope with just mildly difficult early circumstances, to where you get to the point where you're kind of unconsciously writing a story about what's going to happen next. You can get your right hand and your left hand to become aware of each other, and with that awareness, you have a lot more choice in how you emotionally respond, and a lot more choice in terms of how many other directions you can go in besides just the direction of the script.
Yeah. And the beautiful thing about this is that we also learn that we share this with lots of people, which helps us feel not so alone, not so crazy, not so... We discover that some of the things that no one would ever understand, those are the things that everyone understands. We start to really find out that the way that we might have felt kind of lonely or isolated in some of our difficulties, many, many, many people actually do understand and are struggling with the same stuff. So another great gift is that it creates healing conversations between people about these things that we all share as human beings.
And another way to think about an Enneagram style is it's kind of like a nationality. You know, your nationality affects the way you think and react and how other people see you sometimes. And it's deeply unconscious, but on the other hand, it's not really you. It's not the ultimate verdict on you. It's not your ultimate identity. It's not ultimately who you are.
Right.
Enneagram styles are like that. They shade and influence everything, but really in the end, the Enneagram model is just describing an aspect of who you are.
Yes.
But once you know about this, it is an influential aspect, so it gives you lots of options for exploring the world and living life in a more complete way.
Yes, gives us more freedom, really, freedom. So what's going to be happening at the conference? Well, a lot of the main thinkers and teachers in this field will be coming together, along with people who have been touched and moved by either reading some of the books by the various authors about this, or maybe they've been to workshops or training programs. And so it's like a coming together of anyone who's interested in the Enneagram work. And we get together, and there are always a great variety of fascinating presentations, as I was saying earlier, about a great variety of topics, ranging from hardcore business applications to really subtle kind of spiritual practice presentations. But the other big, rich, delicious, wonderful thing at the conferences, for me anyway, is that you just meet a lot of fantastic people who've come from all over the world, who are passionate about life, passionate about ideas, passionate about how we collectively as humanity can create a better life for everyone on this planet, and people trying to step out of the constraints of our historic thinking about this to maybe come to some new ideas about how this little thing that we're doing here might contribute to something that's beyond our personal goals, some way that we can contribute to a better world. And given some of the stressors and difficulties around the world right now, I would think many people would have that in their heart, that burning question, that sense, that wanting to find a way to plug into that. And I think through our community here, people have been finding a lot of beautiful ways to do just that.
And coming together from a lot of different countries, a lot of different age groups, and having diverse points of view, and for the most part, everybody gets along.
Yeah.
And this is one of the kind of subtle messages of the Enneagram, too. If you can start to recognize other people's behavior and their inner motivation and their worldview and their kind of interior logic for why they do the things they do, you can sort of step back from that, have your own understanding of somebody's behavior without taking it so personally, and also appreciate the difference between you and others. So we typically get people from dozens of countries who come to these things,
yeah.
And there's a great information and cultural exchange, and we all have a lot of fun as well.
Yes. So we hope you will consider coming to the conference and getting involved with the Enneagram world, the Enneagram community, and who knows, maybe we'll meet you there.
Maybe even pick up a book or Google the Enneagram and further explore the subject. Find out if it might be something that would interest you and kind of get under your skin a little bit and draw you in a new direction that can be hopeful and profitable.